Here we go, this is SimAirport. We are currently on the experimental branch. Now we've got no large gates currently in situ. Just to draw your attention up to the top, we currently have a 92.54% airline interest and currently a 99% customer satisfaction, and we're also in the positives at 1.2 million. This is in sandbox mode. And we are on a medium map setting. Just let me scroll down a bit. Yeah, this is the medium, it's not the large. But yeah, this is my airport, and I'm going to walk you through it now while it's currently on pause. And then I'm going to walk you through my schedule, and you might be surprised at the look of the schedule as well, given our airline satisfaction figures. Okay, so here we go. As you can see, I've still got more or less the basic layout from the start of the game. Nothing really has changed here. In through this area, out through the baggage claim. You'll see that I've kind of like changed just slightly where the location of the door was, here to down here. Built a wall across security, which used to come across this way, extended down, and I did it basically gate by gate, and I just added on gate by gate slowly, probably one gate every 10 days there or thereabouts. So I've got passengers coming in, greeted immediately by ticket machines. They seem to prefer coming straight in, utilising the machines first, being greeted by information boards, and then there's a trickle basically to these gates. I'm not really using queues at the gates. I've not felt the need to actually use any queues at this time. I just feel that I've situated the ticket machines in an appropriate place. Lots of ATMs here. I've got queues here for security. Don't really seem to be working. I didn't really need them working anyway. I've just left them there for the time being, but yeah, there you go. I've got a few information boards here, yeah, so basically the guys just filter through this way, and then they pick a security agent, go through security as per normal, out again, just completely covered by information boards. I've got a restroom here as well as a nice restroom down here. I have 3 agents for every gate. One agent is dedicated to first class queues, and then the other 2 agents are dedicated solely to coach class, and that's the same for every gate. I'll come to some of the logistics of it. I have a theory. Some of you who may have watched this stream before will probably be aware that I have a theory in terms of how some of these planes are boarded, and I'll probably cover that later on. I've then got a waiting area, which is part of the new seating and benches. Again, every little while I've got information boards symmetrically spaced out, adding beautification all the way around, again with amenities of electronics, foods, vending and information. Yeah, and I've replicated that all the way across all 4 gates. I've then got another waiting area here, and then I added a bar to it. Point of interest, the bar does get busy, but I don't see these seats being utilised as part of the bar, because people just seem to stand around the bar. I also at this point in time can't identify whether or not people's revenue is actually going into our retail figures. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on the bar. It's still early alpha, so let's not get too crazy too soon. I've then added a cafe and kitchen area, lots and lots. I mean, if you look at my staffing levels here, I've got 40 food workers. I've got no idea where they all are, because they certainly don't seem to appear here after a while. And I'm still getting complaints of no staff, and I've got 40. I've got 40 staff, there's more than enough there, especially when there's only 4 or 5 in the kitchen at any one time. And I've only got something like 10 or 11 tills. It's weird, very very weird. I don't kind of work how the food workers are being allocated to an open unmanned till. It's just weird, but anyway, less complaining. Again, it is only an alpha, and I accept that those terms and conditions. So you'll also find that I've got these bathrooms spread evenly throughout the passenger waiting area as well, so passengers don't have to travel too far to go for a natural break. You'll find here that what I've got on the exterior is I've got the pickup area defined as the whole area outside here, but the drop-off area, interestingly to anybody watching this, I've only got it as one tiny square. I've not added anything else there in terms of, I haven't highlighted the whole area of drop-offs, just that one there. And the reason I've done that is that I've noticed that if I made the whole area a drop-off point, it would still only drop off at the very first area, so I thought I might as well just make it one area and just have them walk quickly through on a tarmac area. I've got garbage within the airfield's main grounds behind the fence, as well as the deliveries area as well. I've currently got 10 people. I did have 50, and I've reduced that workforce numbers now down to a more manageable 10. Most of the jobs I'm going to be doing now are going to be small. How did I do this? Well, what I did originally is I placed a fence coming down this area before I actually built this section, believe it or not. I had the fence coming down, created a new secure area, essentially speaking, then did my conversion of this area. Once I'd added the gates and that this area was then secure, I then removed the fencing, opening it back up again, and at no point in time did I breach airline airfield security. So I did all of the preemptive work for the security before I began any of the actual physical work itself. So just a tip there, make sure that you maintain that integrity all the way through. Okay, security I've got, and you'll find this as well with all of the versions that I've put together and broadcast, is that I've always had security people manned at every station. I understand that's also now a requirement as part of the game as well. It wasn't always, but I always preemptively had staff always manning every security station anyway, so make sure that you do that in game. What else do we need to know? Oh yeah, during the what I found at one point is that as people were departing the aircraft, they would come out as normal down through this area, and for some reason all these machines just get absolutely raided by people, so if you do have an exit corridor like this, don't be afraid of sticking some machines and vending down, so that your passengers can go and grab some gear. And you'll also find that as they come out of the security area as well, I've noticed that a few of them tend to dive down here as well. So I've given my passengers every opportunity to have a form of retail at some point in time. Okay, airline interest. Most of the airlines are in the 90s at the minute, or about to hit the 90s. The lowest scoring airline I've got actually is Union Air, which actually has the most flights on my schedule, so if I upset them, I'm going to take a huge impact on my airline satisfaction and interest scores. I have no big gates whatsoever. I have no intention at this time to add big gates. I'm only interested in 2 or 3 airlines at the moment: Union Air, Pacific Airlines and Juno. Now let me show you my passenger satisfaction numbers. So as you can see here, Hunger and Bladder are scoring at 97%, which is my lowest score currently. Everything else is above 97%: Bladder, Money, Rest, Cleanliness. I've got 10 janitors, they seem to be constantly busy and doing stuff. I've also got plenty of disposal bins. Yeah, staff security all working well. Again, I'm confused really in terms of how the food work is happening and how that's all coming together. I've also seen parking garages and trains and tram lines and what have you, so that should be interesting when they get added into game. Looking forward to that. Yeah, so let's have a look at my schedule then. Now, for those of you that have seen my schedule knew that I was feeling fairly unhappy at the fact that it just seems to be a default that all aircraft arrive late. Doesn't matter what the weather conditions are like, all aircraft just seem to arrive late, and then so boarding always seems to happen late. And because boarding happened late, the departures always happen late. So for what you'd expect to be a 2-hour schedule was going into 2-3 hours, and it's just unmanageable. So I got sick of that, so I did an experiment, which was I put only propped aircraft in, which is where Pacific and Union come into play as part of my airlines, and they currently operate the Bombardier Dash 8s as well as the Beechcraft 1900s. Now even if they arrive late, they also depart ahead of time, irrespective of their passenger numbers. And so in order to keep your airlines happy, what you want to do is get those aircraft in, because what they're going to do is they're going to arrive, either just about on time, maybe 5-6 minutes late, still disembark the passengers, and then load the Lexotlar passengers and depart at least an hour early. So you can see as part of this schedule I'm able to back up each of the flights quite close together. And in having airlines come in, turn around and depart on time, I'm able to get the airline satisfaction very, very, very high. And if I start adding too many kinds of 737s in there and 767s, suddenly what becomes a 2-hour stop off becomes a 3-hour stop off, and I can't for the life of me seem to get any of the bigger aircraft in or out on time, irrespective of the number of gates. So just there's something in the mechanics of it that's just preventing the same kind of turnaround mechanics as than any of these small prop aircraft. Not to say I'm going to stop trying, but for the moment I just seem to be having no issues in terms of arrivals and departures on time, in full and early. You'll notice I've actually given each airline 15 minutes, but actually it's turning out to be more like an hour between the flights. What I would ideally like to do is back these times up. So this one, this 2 PM departure is met by a 2 PM arrival, and so on and so forth. It's 2 PM and there's a 4 PM. I just want to see if we can keep this percentage climbing higher and higher and higher, and how many more flights we can fit in. Ideally what I'd like to do is actually remove some of these Bombardier Dash and Embraers that I've got. I've got these, Gate 4 has a lot of Embraer flights coming in. Again, restricted to 90 passengers max, and 19s and 50s. So all of the aircraft coming in are less than 100 passengers each. And I have a theory, which I've discussed in the previous video, which is each gate agent is worth somewhere between 25 to 30 passengers per hour in terms of boarding. So if I had an aircraft of 100 passengers, I would need at least 4 gate agents to get them all on board within 1 hour or quicker. And so I've gone with that logic in terms of how I board these aircraft. If I've got something like a 737 or a 767 or a 707 at more than 120 passengers, up to about 150 I think, then I'm having 5 gates. And then if I've got A380s, I've just got too many gates that are just beyond reasonable, to be fair. You can extend the scheduling by grabbing the bottom corner. In fact, I can show you that on a flight. I don't actually want to do it too much, but you can extend flight times, your flight schedule times. But I don't like doing that, not at the minute anyway. I've got all the airlines coming in and out on time, in full. So, but certainly for flights where you've got the 787, you can extend that schedule time and block out, other aircraft which may potentially overlap on the schedule. So instead of having it as what you might see here is a 2-hour bar, you can extend the bar up to a 3-4 hour bar. and even then it's debatable whether even that's long enough. So you know, if I was running an extra large gate, I would have one large A380 in the morning, one in the afternoon, one in the evening, and that would just about be able to be processed. And I could go just for pure numbers of passengers, just pumping them through the airfield, but I wasn't actually achieving anything in terms of stats and scores. I was just still getting very mediocre mediocre performance at that time, mediocre airline satisfaction, and my passenger satisfaction was hovering somewhere around about 84 to 88 on any given day. And what I wanted to do was just raise that overall, and I want to just try and see what it takes to raise the airline satisfaction and what we can do with that airline satisfaction. So right now, in terms of turnover and raising that satisfaction, the things I can say are get some smaller flights in, get them leaving on time, arriving, they will arrive late, I don't know why, but they just do. All flights just seem to arrive late, no idea why. But even if these small prop aircraft, these Bombardier Dash and the Beechcraft, they arrive late, but they all leave early because of the low passenger numbers, so it keeps their satisfaction high. Very rarely passengers miss their flights. It does happen from time to time, but you know, because they're leaving on time, satisfaction remains high. So you've got to have those flights to underpin your schedule, I would say. So if you are going to put big flights in, do it, but make sure you've still got these small, you know, props and turbine aircraft coming in and helping keep that airline satisfaction figure as high as it possibly can do, and keep tweaking your large airline numbers, and you know, the number of gates and, you know, kitchens and the amenities and information. Keep tweaking that till you get as high scores as possible, and the more days you leave it with little interruption, the more your percentage points go up. But the more building you have going on and the more activity you have going on around the airfield and disruption, the lower your figures are going to be. So just try and maintain it calm as much as possible, really. That's why I put my delivery people within the airfield grounds, so they would actually go around rather than cutting through. Now then, let me show you these reports, because I think these reports will be quite interesting to you as well. So, profit and loss. I made a note about that. This is the first time I've actually seen this profit and loss report. Actually, I made a note on this on one of the Steam pages. Oh, fantastic! I'm going to be taking a first look at that shortly. Excellent. Okay, so I use the reports a lot. And that informs a lot of what I do around the airfield that I feel personally needs doing. So secure areas, this just says red is insecure, green is secure, and at this point we can all see that all the right areas are secure. Environment, so the green areas are where I've got trees, plants, and you know, I see this, you know, this environmental heat map as being a, you know, your sims are happy scenario. So you know, the greener it is, the more happier your sims are going to be. That's just the overarching thing of it all. The greener, the better. Take that and tick away. Okay, so if you can add as much greenery to it, you know, certainly, because I did this as well on the journey, and I realised that, you know, that it's the whole journey, not just parts of it. So there you go. Information heat map. I had like a few boards in the ticketing area at one point, and a few by the gates, and one or two in the seating area. And I was still getting passengers going late, and by the time I dropped a whole load of information boards down in symmetrical areas and just covered all the map in this blue, green colour, turquoise, I don't know what colour you would call it, let's just call it blue. Fewer passengers were missing flights, satisfaction shot up through the roof, because no matter where my passengers were going, they were completely informed in terms of what was happening within the airfield. So, another big tip, make sure you've got information in the right places, and use this info heat map to keep you informed of areas that haven't been covered. Now I've got this area here which isn't covered, but it's still got some coverage, so I'm not really too fussed about that, to be quite honest with you. This sectors, I quite like this. This is growing on me more and more the more I look at it. Sometimes it's very hard to pinpoint if you've got overlapping or you assign sectors and you can't identify where they are. This is very, very, very good. So I like this area indeed. Okay, and this profit and loss is going to be new to me now, so let's have a look at this. So let's have a look at... Oh, fantastic. Let's look at day 39. Just picked a date random there, by the way. Okay, Atlantic, vending machine income was 4,000. Atlantic 3361, terminal income 9,620. Oh, this is very good indeed. Can't seem to scroll down on that. If I want to scroll up, I can't. So I've got information, but I can't scroll on it. That's disappointing. Be nice to scroll it. Yeah, okay, so we've got income, expense. So we're not I can't see the bottom of this. I'm assuming that somewhere at the bottom of this report is telling me, you know, the delta between income and expense, the highs and the lows. It would be good, I suppose, if there was a way that you could do this as sort of part of a GUI report. Really, you can move things around. You know, garbage. I can't see what my retail food income was. Vending machine income. Great. I can't see retail food income versus staff, kitchen, you know, versus anything else, because I want to see that, you know, my cafe and kitchen are actually making revenue up and above the numbers of staff that I've got allocated to the area. If I've got too many staff, and I can remove them out and then drive the profit margin that way. So while we've been streaming this, our percentages now have gone up a whole %. We've gone up now to 93% satisfaction, which is awesome. So we're heading much in the right direction. Let's have a look if we've got any new offers. Juno has an afternoon offer for me. It's a 767. I'm not interested in big ones. I only want propped aircraft, or, you know, the Embraers. I don't want a big Jetson in a minute. I've got a nice balance. It's working right now for this airfield. I just want to keep it that way for now. I'm going to see how high I can push this airline satisfaction. I want to see how high I can actually get it and drive it up and drive it up and drive it up. And then when I've got it about as high as I can possibly get it, if I go to my schedule, what I then want to do is then start moving these flights with 15-minute gaps between them and closing them up, so there is no gaps in between any of them at all. And by doing that, I can create maybe one more space for another airline. You know, but right now everything just seems to be running really, really, really smoothly. I could add another gate maybe if I wanted. I could maybe move this one way. Okay, let's just see what the planning is. A big airline gate, an extra large airline gate is what, 30 by 30? So let's say if I did, you know, just using our imagination here, pretend if we did a 30 by 30, that's how much space I would need. That's a lot. So I'm not going to get a large gate in here. At all. Unless I sacrifice something else. But I don't see why I should have to, considering it is working very, very, very well at the moment. So what we've got here is a 20 by 20 pad. Okay, so I could get 2 more small gates in if I wanted to. You'll note that I've not actually got full utilisation on 2 of my gates, the 2 middle gates, and I do have room and capacity to start pushing some of these over, but at the minute I'm just going to leave them where they are until I can drive this satisfaction up the right way, and I can get more flights in from Union and or Pacific. I don't care which one drops them, I just want more, because these are the guys that seem to be my lowest satisfaction numbers, but also drive through my highest average. So if I keep them happy, then it drives up my airline interest numbers. In terms of pricing, I haven't covered that off yet, so let me talk about pricing wise. I currently have my airlines in at 100 and paying $40 for a flight. And if we just look at the airline income, you'll see that flight ops income is currently 114,000. My staff expenses are 41,000 with a total cash flow of 72,960. I don't necessarily know if that's equating for things like this infrastructure charge every hour or so. So I don't know if this is actually showing us what it should be showing us. Don't have any loans. Never had a loan with this building. Let's get rid of that. Go back to the reports. I do like this P&L. Looking good actually. Retail food income, staff wages. It doesn't give me a breakdown of the staff. It'd be nice if you were able to filter by staff type. It'd be nice also, instead of it just being numbers, that it was actually also graphs as well. If you could have, you know, red line for profit and loss, you know, as your overall, and then, you know, your peaks and troughs, your profit and loss. You could filter it by airline, you could filter it by retail, you could filter it by whatever. It would be nice actually as well to define gates as specific, you know, like, you know, WestJet, Union, Pacific, Galactic, you know, and maybe sell gates to airlines and allow them to autofill, maybe, I don't know, and let them calculate their own stuff and we just provide the infrastructure for them. That's the proverbial we, by the way. Still hoping to see ways that we can define. Okay, no changes there. It looks like there's a change. I think this icon has changed. Yeah, so there is no way at the moment you can define first class areas. If you go back in time, you might see one of my videos where I talk about I tried to build just a very specific first class area. So as you came in through ticketing, only first class ticket holders went through and filtered a certain way into security, which only dealt with first class ticket holders, into like a cafe, which was only first class cafe customers, and then within that lounge there was a first class gate only, sorry, ticket agent, not a ticket agent desk, sorry, gate agent desks, which only dealt with first class passengers as part of the queues. And then when all the other passengers filtered in through to the main terminal, they were coach only. There were no first class ones, other than following the first class queue as part of this defined route. But what I found is that coach passengers were making their way around a different way into the first class zone, and people in the first class zone were then making their way around into the coach class to use facilities or amenities, which were in both areas. I mean, both areas had equal numbers of seats and chairs and cafes and machines, but for some reason, just for logic, didn't keep them within their area per se. So the impact there was, well, little impact really, but also little benefit as well, so scrap that one. So okay, since I've been talking, we've gone up again another percentage point, so we've gone up to 94% satisfaction. Union are now offering me a new flight in the morning, which is awesome. So let's see what we can do for a Union flight in the morning. We've got gate 3 and gate 2, both with capacity in the morning. So I am going to take that morning schedule. So let's do that. Let's just move this over here. Union Beechcraft. Where did that go? That's a Beechcraft, 19 passengers. There we go, so it's now in 9:30 the next day. Gate A2, brilliant. Okay. Nothing for Pacific at the moment. Sparkjet. What are they offering? I haven't looked at them in a while actually. They're just offering absolutely loads of flights. 19 flights. It would be dead easy just to click accept, but I can't do it. I would just take such a hit on my satisfaction levels. Rexicana, what are you offering me? A lot of 747s, 787s, 767s. I've got an A380 in the morning, A380 at night, an A380 in the afternoon. So Galactic Point are offering me some really good terms there, 5,000 per flight. All these guys really want to get in on this airfield because the prices are awesome. Oh, I could actually reduce my costs by 10, and then it puts up my airline interest again. Nothing else at the moment which is jumping out at me in terms of offers that we're getting. It would be nice as well if the airlines, not just the airlines, but the aircraft type, so you can, you know, think about things in terms of how you would use Excel, but you could filter by aircraft type. Propped, non-propped, turbojet, you know, Beechcraft, Boeings, Airbuses, you know, or, you know, capacity less than 50, capacity less than 100, capacity less than 150, capacity less than 200, so on and so forth. So you could just filter and tailor what you're looking for, or create alerts for when a new one becomes available, or that kind of stuff. There are loads of these just niggly little things that you probably just don't want to articulate kind of in writing, or it's very hard to express in terms of how do you write this down without writing down a statement of work, essentially speaking, you know. So I suppose for those of you agile, you know, need to use a stove, but there you go. So yeah, I mean, there's just lots of little niggly things, but I also know that there's a lot of stuff behind the curtains that we're not seeing yet. I know No Slacks showed off a few really interesting tidbits and whatnot, so that's cool. I'm living his channel, by the way, so if you catch this fella, keep doing what you're doing. And I think for now I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to let this tip over, see what my day 94.65, so I'm nearly at 95% airline satisfaction. 95% airline satisfaction. I would really love to know if anybody else out there has a 95% airline satisfaction. I'm at day 50 now. This is day 50. 95%. I could, in fairness, have gotten it higher earlier, but I decided to build, I think it was this gate, and still have my guys coming through the middle, and I was like, that was a bad decision. And I knew what I was doing was a bad decision. So, yeah, anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, any questions, stick them down below. If you like my rambly style content, then feel free to give it a like and a subscribe, and keep your eyes open for the next one. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this probably up to about 96-97%, and then I'm going to start moving all of these flights up 15 minutes. So I'll start with this Union Air and move that up, and then this one and that one and that one, and just see if we can fit more and more flights in there. And then if it all goes completely to pot and all of these airlines start cancelling, then what we'll do is we'll start then to bring in some of the bigger airlines and start to see if we can fix the schedule so that we start to increase the satisfaction again, but this time utilising the bigger aircraft with more gate attendants as part of my theories of 25 to 30 ratio per hour. Then we'll take it that way, but let's experiment, I think, first in terms of backing the schedule up as lean as possible, as many flights in with as few gaps as possible, because I think we can really get more airline flights in, and then we'll take it from there. Alright, take it easy, and we'll see you soon.